Good evening. Welcome to my COVID-19 diaries. I'm living in Minneapolis right now. Having moved back here from Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam, I'm in a self-imposed 14 days quarantine because I was pretty safe in Vietnam, but I then took 3 flights to get back. And in order to avoid exposing other people to what I might have been exposed on those flights, I've decided to stay in for 14 days. My 14 days expire on this next Thursday, which would be the 28th, I guess. Yes. So in the meantime, I continue to live in my house, spending my time reading and writing, and talking to friends over, some sort of electronic method. So to entertain myself, sometimes in the day, there's a couch over here that I lie on, and I try to watch something on YouTube. I've got Netflix, I've got Amazon Prime, but sometimes YouTube is what you want to watch. And all of a sudden, I was shown a Hercule Poirot mystery that ITV had done, I don't know, more than a decade ago. And I'd seen them when they first came out. So I started watching them again. And it was like going to an old friend. Talk about comfort TV. You were taken back into the 1930s and 40s. And I think even later. And it's such a comforting time where, people are living normal lives for that period. People are driving cars, they're meeting for cocktails, their parties. So it just gives you this nice feeling of normality, and it also reminds me of my younger days when I used to actually watch those shows. Now, so I've never actually read a Poirot novel by Agatha Christie. I've read other things by Agatha Christie. In fact, when I was a child, I think my first reading efforts were, the first book I ever read was Seven Pillars of Wisdom by T.E. Lawrence, and I must have been 11 or 12 years old. My father had it, and I just picked it up and read it. But then my mother was an avid reader of Agatha Christie, and she always had a paperback lying around the house, so I started reading those. But I made a conscious decision not to read any of the books where the characters repeat. Like I never read any Poirot books, I never read any Miss Marple books, but I read the one-off books, which I thought were great. And I read one which I think is called, and then there was none, but I think the book that I had was called 10 Little Indians. It wasn't very politically correct, but that's what the title was. This is a book about where 10 people are actually invited to an island in a very mysterious way, and they start getting murdered one by one. So that was my introduction to Agatha Christie. Poirot, on the other hand, is something that I discovered via the magic of television and one person alone. That's David Suchet. He makes an absolutely brilliant Poirot. He's got the mannerisms down to a T. The way he walks, this mincing little walk, and the hand gestures, and the fastidious mustache, and the dress, the way he dresses himself, and the lemon tea that he drinks. It's quite incredible. The man. Now I cannot ever, if I ever go back to reading a Poirot book, the picture that David Suchet paints of Poirot will be in my head, and that's how I'm going to view Poirot forevermore at this point. So going back to Poirot, it's an interesting study of, shall we say, Anglo-Saxon mores. Here is Poirot. He's presented as a small foreigner. Often, the less salubrious characters in those stories call him the little frog, and he always gallantly corrects them and says, no, I'm not a little frog, I'm a little Belgian. And he doesn't miss a stride. But by contrast, the Anglo-Saxon characters around him, Captain, what's his name? Captain Hastings, who's besotted by his various automobiles, is like this physically much larger Anglo-Saxon man who blusters about and is solid and says things like "jolly good" and "hello, old chap" and things like that. And he does all the legwork for Poirot, but he's presented not quite as smart. He jumps to conclusions, draws the wrong conclusions, but makes up for it by being very affable, very friendly, and very loyal to Poirot. The other character is a very interesting one. That's Miss Lemon, Poirot's assistant / secretary. She's still an attractive woman, but she's just at the very edge of being middle-aged. She provides the solid common sense that sometimes Poirot or Hastings may not possess in abundance. She keeps the office running. She's always able to to come up with whatever it is that Poirot needs, be it a perfectly made cup of lemon tea, or there's been cases where she actually goes out and does some field work for him. So she's an interesting character. And then finally, it's Chief Inspector Jack, who could be a bumbling policeman, but he's not. He's a rather clever policeman. He's very methodical, and Poirot actually respects him, and he respects Poirot, which is interesting, because it would be such an easy common trope to have them at each other. For Chief Inspector Jack to think that Poirot is a bumbling amateur, and for Poirot to think that Jack is this big feet, big mouth, big guy who's not very smart. But that's not the case. They actually respect each other and they help each other out. So that makes for an interesting mix of characters. The one thing I wondered, I'm sure you wondered, is about Poirot's sexuality or lack of sexuality. I mean, Poirot is probably in his 40s, perhaps, or maybe early 50s, but and you can see that he's gallant, he's interested in women, but nothing ever happens. And it's almost like he lives this asexual existence. He has this nice apartment which doubles up as his office, and he has friendly social circles. He goes to the theater, but always goes with Hastings. He never has much to do with women, and I've never understood that, because he's an attractive man. He could find a middle-aged woman to have some human relationship with, but Agatha Christie and the people who made this have decided to make Poirot asexual for whatever reason, and I guess it works. But he's not an ascetic. He enjoys his life. He likes good food. He likes good clothes. He gets his suits tailored. He likes to eat out. He likes the drinks that he likes just the way he likes them, and so he is living a rather good life, but a kind of monastic life as far as women are concerned. So going back to Agatha Christie, she's the world's best-selling writer of all times. She had an interesting life herself. She made a disastrous first marriage to somebody called Archibald Christie, hence her last name. And in 1926, Archibald decided that he wanted a divorce from Agatha Christie, and he wanted to go out marry another woman. And so Agatha then famously disappeared for a few days. The whole country held its breath because this famous writer had disappeared. But she emerged, and she married again and had a much happier second marriage. And it was very productive, and she wrote lots of books. And finally, if you ever go to London, you should catch The Mousetrap, which is an Agatha Christie play. I hope it's still running, but it's been running forever, and I thought it would run forever. But who knows now with this pandemic, if what's going to survive off it when we're finally able to go back to the theaters again. But anyway, Agatha Christie's good light reading, and I don't think anyone can do mystery or can come up with a puzzle or a crime as well and as ingeniously as Agatha Christie does. So don't look down on Agatha Christie. It's good reading. It's a quick read. Get a paperback, carry it with you wherever you're sitting, open and read it, and it's rewarding in the sense that you'll get some pleasure out of it. And what is reading if it's not there to give you pleasure? So Agatha Christie rules, and I hope that you guys are doing really well under the current conditions. If you're in isolation, I hope you found ways to amuse yourself. More importantly, I hope you've kept your sanity, and that you're going to come out of this perfectly sound. And in fact, I hope that you'll come out of it stronger than ever. This menace, this life curtailing event that's going on is lifted. Thank you.